So our lawmakers, the people that work for us, are actually concocting a bill behind closed doors without any sunshine, without anybody, having any input. We're urging everybody to call their legislator, call House Democrats, House Republicans, email them, go right on their Facebook page and tell them to say no to a very onerous bill that will forever change Connecticut. We were up until about 2:00 in the morning going through the bill and putting together mailers so we can get everybody informed, because our lawmakers don't always tend to do that. So yeah, there's a big housing bill that's going to come up for a vote probably tomorrow. And again, the Democrats in Connecticut have been doing this for many years now, where they're really trying to take away local control of our towns when it comes to local land use decisions and zoning. I think we've talked about this before when we were on the last time. I'm on the zoning commission in Fairfield, and it's a very democratic process in terms that, people can come and speak in favor or against an application. We're accountable to people who elect us, who put us there and entrust us to do our jobs. So really getting rid of, zoning commissions and their ability to do really good work for their local towns will be obliterated. It's going to be canceled. It will be gone if this bill does pass.
And what's the bill name and number that we're looking at now?
Yeah, this is the Omnibus Housing Bill. It's HB 6781. It actually has not been shared externally yet. It's a bill that we got from a source inside the legislator. So our lawmakers, the people that work for us, are actually concocting a bill behind closed doors without any sunshine, without anybody, having any input. So it's very dangerous.
Have public comment before that can go to a vote?
So they did have public comment on other bills earlier this year, the Fair Share Bill, Live, Work, Ride. Right. And this HB 6781 kind of
goes up. I think she was going to say like reflective of all of those different bills. Maria, you want to pick up from there?
Sure. So they've combined a whole bunch of different bills, and Fair Share, Work, Live, Ride, the governor's bill, the CBIA workforce housing bill, a renter bill, even the housing authority bill, just by allowing housing authorities to sue towns for development if they're interested in developing fair share, means that they've really jumbled a whole mess of different things in there. A lot of them are very concerning, very onerous, take away local oversight and control. And it's problematic. It's problematic from an environmental perspective. It's problematic from a density perspective. And so these are real concerns that everyone should have. And, it's funny, we were on the Lisa Wexler show this morning and talking about it. And she said, usually Democrats are known to be, or at least presumed to be, big environmentalists. But the reality is that this bill just basically takes away any sort of land stewardship that's done by P&Zs, by sewer, water, wetlands, conservation commissions, and even historic preservation. So, the bill that we've seen should give everyone great pause, because it will forever change Connecticut, which is one of the smallest states in the country, and it is one of the most dense already. And, and I don't know if you got into it yet, but they take away oversight of wetlands. So it's very concerning. And especially, we know that someone from the COG, Francis Pickering, stated that, Connecticut's state level protections of surface waters are by some measures the weakest in New England, meaning the state relies on local regulation to protect its rivers, lakes, streams, and ponds. So here's the problem. They're now saying, you know what, we don't want to hear from you anymore. We're going to decide from an unaccountable, unelected official is going to decide what's best for everybody.
It's so late in the process. Like you said, this is the culmination of several bills, which we've done a couple of other episodes previously about those. We've had people go out in the public comment. You've had people send in their letters to their lawmakers and to like the official process that you can do on the General Assembly website. So what can we do right now?
At this point, we're urging everybody to call their legislator, call House Democrats, House Republicans, email them, go right on their Facebook page and tell them to say no to a very onerous bill that will forever change Connecticut. And I think another important aspect to talk about in this bill is that it actually allows outside groups to file a lawsuit if you don't create a specific number of houses in the next several years. So this puts more stresses on the towns. We'll be responsible for paying for those lawsuits. Imagine someone who doesn't live in your town or have anything to do with your town can actually sue you.
So, between the infrastructure impacts, the legislation impacts, we know that New Jersey's had hundreds of settlements of legal actions from different parties suing towns. That does not create affordability. It does not create housing. It does not create affordability to create lawsuits. It just creates a new industry. And one of those people who can sue is outside housing authorities. So if an outside housing authority wants to build in your town and you're not there, you're not meeting your fair share, they can be one of the parties that can sue your town.
Yeah, and I think before I came on to the show, I think you guys were talking about the town of Woodstock, which is in the quiet corner of Connecticut.
Mhm.
And I think one of you was saying there's not even a high school there. There's probably a regional high school. So even if there's not
Well,
really a demand for
there is a high
housing
school there. In Union,
Oh.
there's not a high school.
Okay, sorry. Okay. But these towns,
They're
they're
right
going to
next to
build.
each other.
So they're going to build all this density. Assume, let's just say people do go there. I don't know if there is really a demand. They're going to have to build more schools. Think about the town municipal services. Most of these towns issue maybe at one building permit a year. And there's also a lot more reporting that towns will have to do with this bill if it were to pass. So our towns will need much more staff, and a whole host of expenditures comes with that.
Right.
So it's really the most unfunded mandate since education. It's very
Right. And I
very
think
scary.
that's the issue, right? I would love to see growth, natural, organic growth.
Yeah.
We need growth if we are going to dig ourselves out of this hole, but that is much different from manufactured growth that then all at once hoists all these unfunded mandates. And honestly, it's not going to impact most of the olds that are up in that building. It's going to impact me, and it's going to impact my son, because we're the ones who are coming up. So we're not anti-growth here. We're
Mhm.
not, and we're pro people deciding for themselves where they want to live, what communities that they want to really become a part of and invested in. And part of that means that we need more people to stand up and to speak out now, to get involved in this process, right? Because our legislatures, we can complain about them, but reality is this is a part-time job, and they don't get paid that much. I mean, most of them have other careers and they do very well for themselves. But part of this is that we are supposed to be involved in the process, just like these two ladies are here. So the very least that you can do is head over to ct169.org. And this is the bill. You can check out the bill too. This is the former version of the bill, but head over to their website. All of the things that they're talking about are laid out here. And I believe that there's also a button on here where, this one right here, you can donate to them. They were up all night doing this work, going through the bill. So head over to ct169.org, support the work they're doing, and then send them an email and say, hey, I want to get more involved as well. Give me something to do, and I am sure they will gladly do that.
Right. I mean, I think we really want to see, the smaller towns are being sold a bill of goods that this won't impact them as much, and trying to break the thought process on this, that this is not a good bill. And so we just want to make it clear to everybody that these impacts are going to be felt by, small towns, rural areas, everybody. And that this is just poor policy. You need thoughtful, very specific policy to impact and understand the different issues that each area addresses, and one size policy like this is not going to solve the problem. So we want to try to have everybody hold strong on this and make sure that we don't have the votes to pass this bill, because it is not a good bill as it is currently seen. And we have still yet to see the final language. which is really unexcusable at this late hour to be thinking that within 24 hours they might be voting on a bill that no one's actually seen, not even the majority party. So it's very frustrating.
Yeah, and I would say, growth, what you were talking to, that is a good thing, absolutely, but it has to be done the right way. And housing reform is also good and needed in Connecticut, but it has to be done with everybody at the table. It can't just be paid housing advocates making these decisions for us. That's
Right.
unacceptable.
I
People
think
who-
that's a big point that we need to
Yeah.
stress also, that the people who are supporting this bill, it's beyond just the legislators and the lawmakers. It's these advocacy groups, and a lot of them are paid for by the developers who stand to profit enormously. And so we have to sort of get in on what this scheme is and what's really happening here and not get caught up. But, oh, they just want to fight discrimination. They want to make it more fair, right? No, we have to dig beyond and demand more.
Absolutely.
And the reality, the most offensive part of it is that, yeah, it's housing developers because they're looking to push the market value. And again, most of this development is all 80% or more market value, not affordable. So how does that make Connecticut any more affordable? Which is why you need to work with local. You cannot do this from a top-down bill like this. It just won't be successful. And it's not going to bring new business to our state, which is really what we need if we're going to talk about economic growth. You need to bring businesses to our state. You need to encourage development and be pro-business, much more business-friendly environment. And that's what we're lacking. And that's what they're just ignoring. That's not going to change. So using our limited resources to build in the wrong ways is the worst thing possible we could do right now when we're potentially facing a recession. So that's
100%.
something to really consider.
Well, I appreciate you ladies coming in, and I know it's been a long night for you. I'm sure you have a lot more work ahead of you, so we're going to make sure that we clip this, get it out to the people, that we're doing all of those things that we talked about, and see if we can make anything happen in these next 24 hours or so.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks for all your work. Those two are fierce.
I know.
Very, like I said, they really are inspiring. I've been on some of those Zoom calls. It's very informative. There's tons of people getting on. But, hopefully all those people will take the time to call. I think calls really frazzle. If you get like a lot of incoming, it's going to stress out everybody. I think they need to really make those phone calls. So that'll be on my list in between prom.
Thanks for checking out this clip of Teaching Liberty Live. Help us beat the algorithm by sharing it on your social media platforms and with your friends. Also, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, tap that notification bell so you don't miss any of my videos. Plus, I go live every Saturday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, breaking down the big headlines and trending topics of the week. And let's make sure we stay directly connected, so head over to teachingliberty.org and sign up for my mailing list. Now, go watch more of my videos and share them with your friends. Did I mention that?
Come on.